imagine that you made up to $1 billion in your lifetime, or as far as you've been living to this current moment. And then you go broke. That's crazy work. I'm talking about some crazy, crazy work. Why I say that? Because they talking about Floyd Mayweather might be broke. I seen it and I'm like, I gotta talk about this. This don't make no sense right here. So a man that made $1 billion, that they so-called made $1 billion plus, and now he broke. Nah. Something ain't right about that. Let's talk about this. Yes, man, it's your guy Mailman, and we are on the Mailman show. What we do what? We think inside the box, outside the box, around the box, under the box, above the box. What is the box? The box is our world. That's our playground. Anything that we can use to be successful, we're going to use it to the best of our ability. Everybody's success is different. So whatever success is to you, run with it. Let's get this paper, baby. Now, look. I seen this situation on Floyd, man, about they talking about Floyd Mayweather broke and he ain't got no money. You know, that's kind of hard to believe. As much flexing as Floyd does, that's hard to believe. But then it's kind of like, it's not hard to believe because a lot of these cats do flexing online and they ain't got half of what they say they got. But the sad part for him, he actually was rich. Even if he didn't have $1 billion, if he had $500 million, if he had 300 million, he still was rich. So how do you go broke from being that rich? Like, let's look at this right here.
There's reports online that Floyd's a billionaire.
You think it's bullshit?
I know it is. They're claiming he was doing $100 million a fight, and I'm claiming he in his whole career has made about $100 million. No. Mike Tyson, to put in perspective, when he fought Michael Spinks, that was the biggest fight of all time. When that fight happened, one got 30 million and one got 29. No boxer's ever made 130 million in one night.
A Google search is saying 250 million against Manny Pacquiao.
It's a comical number. $250 million to go and box? From where would he possibly have gotten that money?
Just pay-per-view buys, right? If you do 3 million pay-per-view buys, that's $60.
There's reports online that Floyd's a billionaire.
Okay. Now I'm going to give my perspective of what I see, how I kind of got to understand and why I kind of can see how he possibly could have made $1 billion. This is just how I'm looking at it from my perspective of it. All right. Floyd bought himself out of his contract. All right. That was a good thing. It was for less than $1 million from what I heard. Now, and then after he bought himself out the contract, he created his own promotional team and started scoring his own deals off revenue from pay-per-view and maybe other endorsements, right? Alongside getting paid to fight. So with all that, like they just said, the dude said if he did 3 million streams, $60 a stream, and whatever the number would be, it was 60 times $1 million to 60 million. So that's 60, that's 120, that's 180 million right there. That's just off the pay-per-view streams. If that's what he's getting 60 off of it. We're just gonna say 180 million off that. And then whatever he probably got paid to fight, let's just say the fight could have brought him in about another 40 million, 50 million. So that's 230. And then whatever endorsements he could have got. So the numbers could have added up to be 250 million for one fight when you put everything, merchandise, endorsements, pay-per-view, and the fight itself, and then anything else that could have generated revenue for him to add to that pot. So it's definitely plausible that that number could have been a realistic number. But now, here's the thing about it. That's the gross. What is the net? What is the take home after paying staff, managers, lawyers, whoever had a piece that was supposed to get a cut of it, and so forth on. So let's just do a 50-50 split, right? And this ain't even got into doing taxes. We're just gonna do a 50% split. If it was 250 million, 50% had to go to cover all the overhead costs. So that still brings 125 million in off of the fight, right? Nah, that's amazing money for one fight. Now you take that 125 million, and if he does his business right and do his proper investments, his taxes on that money is going to be very, very low as well. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't know how he does his business structure, but just to kind of give you an idea, like let's say he took that 125 million, and instead of having to pay maybe 35 to 40% on that money, he got paid everything to his company, and everything that he acquired was business related. So if he bought a real estate company, if he bought properties with that 100 million, said let's say he go and buy take 50 million and buy a bunch of real estate, right? So now that money went into the real estate company. So now he, out of that 125, is 75 million left over. Now let's say he opens up, like he did his boxing gyms. He said, you know what, I want to open up a boxing gym. So he take 25 million and put 25 million into the boxing gyms and open up 10 locations. And that's to buy the equipment, pay the rent, or buy the buildings, or build the buildings, or whatever so forth comes with that cost. So now he's down to 50 million. He has 75 million that's been invested out of his 125 that was left over. Now he take that other 50 million, put so much up in the savings, put more into later investments that hadn't came, and then he live off some. And then he go and do his next fights again. He set up a fight again to keep that to do the process all over again. So now when it comes down to pay taxes, he's not paying taxes on 250 million, because remember 50% went to overhead costs, and then if he did the proper business structures, the rest went into investments. So he's just gonna pay what he actually has left over that is considered the profit. So that's just kind of like, I can see how he could have made the money and get everything done, no problem. But this man been fighting multiple fights, so that's just one fight. Now you take the same process, do a rinse and repeat on the next fight and the next fight. Then by the second fight, he up. Everything is in green at this point. He's just doing another rinse and repeat. So we're gonna use the same 250 million. If he did another 250 on the next fight and bring home 125, then now you just acquire more properties, which is the first sets of properties is generating you monthly revenue. So you have a cash flow system. You just add to that cash flow system. And then now you're going to go invest in something else, or you might be invested to another person's business or whatever. Then you're going to put your investments that's going to pay your monthly living expenses, and all your overhead is covered, and you got more to put up for future investments and so forth on. So it's just a rinse and repeat cycle. So how do you go broke? How do you go broke and you made that much money, bro? Like it don't even make sense. Now, another thing that could be another plausibility that he still didn't learn his lesson from was one time he went broke and had IRS problems, which, well, I know how that can be. Not on his level though, but having IRS problems, you would understood, take care of that problem off the top, get that covered. But another thing that he could be doing is allowing other people to manage his money and sign on his behalf, and they're mismanaging and misusing his money. And he has no business structure or business knowledge of how to do it himself. So they know how to hide things in the paperwork where he would never really understand how to do it. Or by the time he did figure it out, the money's gone. So that could be another option. But here's what I want to talk about the situation is, if you go broke making $1 billion, in my perspective, you don't need the money. You don't need the money. You just don't need the money. It's absolutely no freaking way a person should ever be broke and you made $1 billion. No freaking way you should be broke. I'm talking about, I got plans and understanding and how to make a consistent lifestyle of living, and I haven't even seen that much money that he has or he has seen. but I'm going to get to that much money that he's seen, and I plan on surpassing it. But if I'm using my own brain and I don't have the access to the capital and the cash flow that he has, how do you get somebody beat you out of that much money? How do you yourself spend that much money? Like, I get he buy all the jewelry and stuff, and people say jewelry is an investment because it appreciates over time, certain watches and so forth on. Yes, but that's not cash flow. You might be parking your money to have your money appreciate, but you got to sell that stuff. Then you got to wait and see if the market is in a turn to somebody to buy it. So if you don't have a consistent stream of cash flow, having an asset like a watch, Bugatti and all that stuff, if you can't sell it fast enough to get the cash, or if the liquid cash is not out there in the economy circling around for somebody to want to purchase it, having that vehicle can still cost you to lose a lot because that asset is not moving fast enough to get the cash, the liquid cash you need. Now, another thing, how you open up a business, a boxing gym, and not pay your employees, man? Like, literally, this is what you do for a profession, is boxing. People follow you and they understand that you have the roadmap to understanding how the boxing arena works. If you're going to open up this facility, pay these people. But I'm going to tell you what I think happened. Floyd puts his name. People bring ideas to Floyd. He put his name on the idea. And he's the face of the idea and supposed to be the financial resource of the idea. But whoever brings the idea to Floyd that's behind the scenes, either they don't know what they're doing, or either they do know what they're doing and they just goddamn trick Floyd into putting the money in, and they're going to get the money back on the back end some kind of other way, and they don't care about the business in the first place because the business was just a front. So Floyd is stuck holding the bag, the it bag. How you get screwed over once and then let it still happen to you again, the way you holding the it bag? With your gym, if that's what you decided to do, you should have learned from past mistakes and said, hold on, before we do this, let me get an understanding of this situation. What is all my overhead going to be? I need to know all the overhead costs. How much is it going to be if we rent a building? What's the monthly rent? If we buy a building, what's the what it's going to cost to purchase? Or if we're going to build, how much it's going to cost to build? That's the first thing. Now that you understand that cost, now you're going to be able to make that decision. So we just going to say, let's say the cost, we're going to use what's easy. Let's say rent. Let's say you rent a building. All right. You got your building in an upscale neighborhood. It's a big commercial building. That building is going to cost you $25,000 a month. So you know, okay, $25,000 a month, you're going to run that and say, we're going to do a, let's say most time on commercial lease, you're going to probably do a 3-year lease. So you'll say $25,000 a month. So 25 times 12 is going to put you at roughly, hold on, let me make sure I do this math right. I think that's 300,000, 25, 75, so 75, 100. Yeah, so 300,000. So $300,000 for year one, and you locked it in for 3 years. So that's $900,000 that you have locked into it. So you know that's going to be covered. Then you find out who's going to be the manager, what their salary is going to be, how much you're going to pay your employees, or are they going to be paid per training? How, you know, whatever that cost is. So let's just say the yearly cost for that is going to run you about another, I don't know, operational cost for them. Let's just say $1 million a year, right? So now you at 3.9 million. Then you got to do the electric, the water, the gas, vendors, maintenance, and all that stuff, right? So now you're at 1.3 a year, 3.9 for the whole 3 year of the lease. So 1.3, then you just put in whatever else. We're just gonna say another overhead cost, another 300,000 for whatever the miscellaneous stuff could be. So we'll, to make it easy math, 1.5 million a year with all in. It could be, we can just say 2 million. 2 million all in. So $2 million all in. Now you know, okay, if I decide to do this venture, I'm just gonna go on and throw $6 million into an account to the side. Let me just go on and put $6 million to the side. Now that I got that $6 million to the side, that's in the account. I'm gonna let this account sit. It's gonna be in an account that's getting yearly interest that's sitting there, so it's gonna still be collecting money. Now, when it's time to, everybody's getting their pay, you got no complaint, you got happy employees. Happy employees are gonna make sure that the facility is taken care of. And even if you got happy employees, they might steal from you. That's just gonna come with it. But you did the right thing as a man and being a good leader and a good boss. Now you gonna sit down and know where is all the revenue gonna come back to cover your $6 million. So you can at least try to make that $6 million back. Hopefully in the first 18 months, you can make that back. So now you're looking at, okay, are you gonna focus on membership costs, personal training, group training? Are you gonna do with revenue from selling snacks, doing private events? Where's the revenue that's going to come back, so the cash flow to come in to start replacing that $6 million initial investment? And that's where you start looking at your numbers. Your team should be able to give you all that and be able to break that down. Now, let's say they did give you all that. Next, your job is to either watch that to make sure that they're keeping their word, or now you go hire somebody that works for you personally, that you trust. You're going to watch them and they're going to go over the numbers. But here's the thing about it. Even though that you might watch them, you as the owner and the investor in the face, you need to learn every aspect of your business itself. So you can be able to sit down and go over them numbers. That's the boring part. I get it. That's not the cool, fun part. The showing off the jewelry, the flexing, the shining, and all that's not the cool stuff. I get it. But that's the most important stuff. Because you need to sit down and look at it. They told you that, hey, we're going to generate in the first 6 months, $50,000 a month for the first 6 months. Then we should do a 20% increase and that's so forth on. Then you need to be looking at, okay, month one, did we do the 50? If they didn't hit that, they hit 47,000. Why we didn't hit 50? Well, you know, we was on $3,000 out. It don't matter. You said first month 50. Where did that other $3,000 go? Second month, need to make up that need. So now you got to make $53,000 the next month plus. You're paying attention to them numbers. They're on your computer. You can take the technology is so advanced now. You can take your computer with you and you can be able to track everything, put a system in to be able to monitor everything that's going on with your companies. So it's no excuse, especially the type of money that you have. So now that you got that system in place, they got you putting that pressure on them to meet that quota. They got to meet that quota. You set a threshold. They cannot pay no vendor over a certain amount. If it's over $300 a month, over $300 a transaction, they got to get approval from you. I don't care what it is. If it's a toilet broken, they cannot write a check to a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, or a mover, a videographer. They cannot do none of that if it's over 300 without getting personal approval that is verified through either a digital signature, email verification, some kind of way to have a paper trail of everything that was supposed to be done, time, date stamp. So that way you have somewhere to go back and hold somebody accountable for every single piece of your business. But you should know this, Floyd, if you playing with that much money. You playing with that much money, you should know this. Then another thing that you probably did, you probably opened more locations than you should. Because let's say you opened up 5 locations at once. So now you just took your 6 million 3 years and turned into 6, 12, 18, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30,000, 30 million. You just had to front up 30 mil. Well, a good boss would front 30 million. So that way, you know, everybody's getting paid, all the leases are getting covered, and you're keeping a good name. So you down and put up so much money that you want to make sure you can keep maintaining your lifestyle that you post on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and so forth on. But you can't. You can't. And I didn't mean to take this video this long. I'm just looking at the common sense, man. Imagine making hundreds of millions of dollars for one fight, and you do multiple fights and do that, and you go broke. Oh man, that's making me sick thinking about it. Man, if you can earn that much money and still be a fool, as they say, a fool and his money shall part, and you and your money are parting ways. Y'all are splitting how the Red Sea did, or what that sea they said when Jesus went through and the sea parted away. Well, you and your money parting away. Now, you better hope that, like when the water came back down, it rejoined, that you can rejoin forces with your money. But unfortunately, everybody ain't gonna be as blessed as that, how that water rejoined to rejoin back with that money again. Because if you are not understanding financial literacy, that's something you should be teaching yourself. Financial literacy, as much money as you got. You should never let nobody just tell you what to do with your money. I don't care if people get mad because you want to understand everything. You need to read every individual contract that comes on your desk. Every contract that comes on your desk, so you can know what, when, where, and how is being executed. That's just point blank, period, man. But hey, if that's what you choose to do and not have no kind of financial discipline, that's on you. That's on you. But let me talk to my people that really want to make wealth, because wealth is about making money, not blowing money. When you're learning something new, start small. Test the waters out. See how it does. It might be a little slower process, but you're learning. Once you understand it, you're going to have a plan. You can execute faster. There's nothing wrong with starting with 1 and taking 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 6, or 8 to 9, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's nothing wrong with it. You just figure out how to do it at your speed until you're comfortable enough to do a rapid growth and control it and have a solid system in place to manage it. But don't look at these celebrities out here that showcase all this money, that's talking about they so rich and got so much money. Because this is a sad case to see somebody that made that much money. Even if he made 100 million, like the dude said in the video, that's still a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And you don't even understand what to do with it. Look, we up out of here, man. I just had to get my opinion on that. When I seen Floyd going broke, man, I want y'all to know it's ways to be financially successful and financially secure, to where you can do things and have a good time, and don't get caught up in these celebrities. It took me 2 decades to really understand and get to where I'm at in life and build myself. Sometimes it takes a little longer to do it. Don't be stressing about that. Just do the things that you can do. Now that I'm here, I'm about to speed it up now. I'm about to speed it up, baby. So look, hit that like, subscribe, follow. Let's make this thing happen. I'm sorry I took that long on the video, but I had to give my opinion, man. Just break that down and give y'all my thoughts of how I seen the whole situation with the Floyd Mayweather blowing through that much money, bro. Love y'all. We up out of here. Hey, and remember, just Common Sense Podcast, the Mailman Show, where we think outside the box, in the box, around the box, under the box, above the box. The box is what we're going to use as a foundation, but we don't get stuck in the box. I love y'all. We out of here. Woo woo.